Now, into the ticket office of Disneyland.
Oh boy, let's do this.
Don't think the CIA is going to be trying to hack your second-gen iPod.
I didn't think so. There might have been a lot of illegal music on there. I wouldn't doubt it. But, I mean...
You were supposed to bring death to the flagships, not join them.
Google has found a new way to piss me off.
iTunes is a constant source of embarrassment.
Behind-the-scenes camera crap.
Here, tell us about courage, Phil. Tell us about courage.
I am Nadella. I can't do it anymore without laughing. I was going to do the whole thing. Welcome, everyone, to the Calling All Platforms podcast. I am your host, Wes, and I'm here with Landon.
Hello.
And Caleb.
Hi.
And we are here to talk all things tech this week. Kind of Black Friday as well. Some sales that are going on, but also some tech. Because, it does. We were just talking about this a little bit before the recording. I have to agree on this thing that Caleb said. Black Friday no longer feels like a Black Friday sale. It's just kind of it's a sale.
It's sales. It's like pretty much any other holiday sale for anything, any company, any deal, any, you can go to Walmart, get pretty much all the same deals on Memorial Day or Labor Day or President's Day or whatever. But instead of lasting for 3 days, it lasts for the entire month of November. So that's kind of nice. You have a lot more time to actually do your shopping and that kind of thing. But I feel like we all stopped going to stores and doorbuster deals disappeared. And now it's like, I don't know, do the retailers get anything out of trying to make it a big deal like Black Friday shopping? Because I think that's why it was a big deal. That was the one day they could be like, oh yeah, if we offer a few doorbuster deals, we can fill the store with people ravenously spending money.
Yes.
And so we'll offer all these sales to get them in, and they'll buy stuff that isn't on sale, and we'll sell, so much money and all that stuff. But, we kind of changed the way that we shop, and Black Friday changed along with it.
But hey, we're going to talk about a few deals just to mention, because, some companies still say it's a Black Friday sale or deal. So we're just going to mention a few. For starters, I know Landon definitely came prepared a lot more than both of us. So, Landon, you got a few deals you want to talk about?
I do. And I actually, a lot of these deals that I found are actual, really good deals. They're not just regular sale deals that you find any other time of year, in my opinion, anyways. So, to me, and stuff that I've shopped for recently, they've been better deals right now than I've ever seen in other times. So I kind of disagree to an extent, but not fully. I mean, most of the deals are those regular deals you're going to find, but I still think Black Friday is where you're going to find, one, the most deals out of anything, and two, the best deals on certain things. Not everything, but certain things. Usually it's some of the things that are already not super expensive, or the things that are really expensive to get the biggest discounts because they can still afford to, give them those discounts. But let's go through some Black Friday phone deals that I found that I think are worth looking at. So, one of the first things I found was the Google Pixel 7a. The most current A series phone right now is on sale for $374, down from $500, which is a fantastic deal. That's $500 for that phone is already quite nice for what you get. So taking $125 off, not too bad right there.
Right.
If you are in the Samsung ecosystem, the Galaxy S23 Ultra is down to $900, so you're saving $300 right there. That's at Amazon and Best Buy for that one. The Google Pixel 8, regular Pixel 8, is down $150 to $550, so $50 more than the regular price on the 7a for the flagship phone. Well, the lower-end flagship phone. Pretty good. One of my favorite and one of the best deals that I've seen so far, though, is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. at Best Buy with activation. So you have to activate it there while you buy it, which, I mean, most people do anyways. But it is $1,000. So it's $800 off for that phone, which that's a pretty good deal, I think. The regular Motorola Razr, so not the Razr Plus, is the Razr Minus, which was already a really good deal at $700. As we said, was going to go on sale because that's just what Motorola does. But they are putting it down to $500. So if you want to get some of the best technology out there in a phone that flips in half, $500, which I think that's probably, it's not the biggest deal, but it's probably the best deal for all the phones out there right now.
Yeah.
'Cause that is a really good phone for only $500, which is pretty awesome. If you're not a big fan of Motorola's flip phone, you can go with Samsung's. They are also saving you $200. It is going to be $800. So decent deal there. Another foldable phone that has not a significant but a decent discount is the OnePlus Open. It's regularly $1,700. It is $1,400 at Best Buy, or $1,500 if you buy it straight from OnePlus. But just buy it at Best Buy because it's $100 cheaper. And if you're in the market for a inexpensive phone for, say, one of your kids, like a teenager or something, the cheapest phone that I've seen that's still a pretty decent phone is the Moto G Play. The 2023 model is only $100 at both Amazon and Best Buy.
Gotcha.
Now, I don't have the specs on that phone, but Motorola's budget phones are pretty popular and pretty good. They also have the Moto G Stylus, which, as the name implies, does come with a stylus for $150. So there you go. If you're in the market for a budget phone, those are probably going to be your best deals out there. At Walmart, the best deal that I found there was on the Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 Classic. Now, I will say we are on to the Watch 6 at the moment, so this is a couple years old. But if you want to get into the smartwatch realm, or you have a pretty old one and you want to upgrade to something a little bit nicer, it is a little older, but that's fine. It's only $100 at Walmart. So it's, like I said, it's 2 years old. The battery's not quite as good as what the newer ones offer, but as this article says, you're getting 85% of the same experience for $100. So
yeah, not
I think
bad.
that's a pretty good deal. All right, let's move on. This is what I was looking for earlier. The Motorola Razr Plus. This one, normally $1,000, is down to $700. So if you want a little bit of the higher end specs, but you like the Motorola option more than Samsung, this is actually cheaper than the Samsung Z Flip 5 by $100. And I think it's the better phone, personally. User experience is going to be better. It's got the bigger outside display. Got a lot of really good reviews. $700. That is at Amazon for that one. So pretty good price on that one. If you're in the market for some earbuds, the Google Pixel Buds Pro are $80 off at Amazon for $120, which I believe is a really, really good deal.
Yeah, they're really good. I have those ones. They're good.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about them. Let's see. TVs. This is at Best Buy. If you want a relatively good TV, a TCL 43-inch 4K this has Fire TV built in, $100. So 43-inch 4K Amazon Fire TV made by TCL, $100 at Best Buy. That's probably going to be one of your better TV options that you can get.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's the majority of what I think are some of the best deals that I found. There are some other deals out there, but those are probably the best ones, at least for what I would be purchasing if I were to purchase something. I mean, there's so many deals out there right now. The biggest thing to keep in mind when it comes to Black Friday stuff is know what the price was before, because sometimes places will put the higher prices, say that's what it used to be, when in reality it's not what it used to be. It's the current price is what it has been for a while. And there are enough websites out there that will tell you that information. So just keep an eye out for that. A lot of the more, like some of the stuff that I've mentioned here, it's a lot harder for places to do that because they're popular devices, whereas it's the ones that most people may not be looking at on a regular basis that they can do that with. So just keep that in mind as you're Black Friday shopping.
Yep. I will actually say that, like, Black Friday is like the one time of year where every online retailer starts acting like AliExpress and Temu, where they will, it's so funny to me. Like I order stuff from Temu. I'm quite careful about what I order because a lot of it is garbage that's really not worth the money. But, you know, around this time of year, you want to buy like, I don't know, some cheap plushies for kids that are really into Pokemon or something like that, then honestly, you could do a lot worse than just ordering them straight from China, which is where they're all being manufactured anyways. And every time you go through the checkout process for one of these, they will show you the quote-unquote original price of all of the items and then show you the quote-unquote discounted price that you have been given. It's all bogus. Those items have never actually cost what that first price was. And like, you see that happening like all the time during Black Friday, where they'll be like, oh, this is 60% off of a price we've never actually asked for. Or if they did ask for it, it was for like a week at the very end of October.
Yeah.
Just so that they could say it's been discounted by 60% for November. And so, yeah, it's not a bad idea to go check like price tracking websites, especially like if you're shopping for PC hardware, peripherals, and that kind of thing. Go to PC Part Picker. They've got a really fantastic interface that will track this stuff for you. You know, it'll show you where the cheapest place to buy things is, taking into account options like rebates and that sort of thing if you're willing to go through that process. And you know, you can just kind of verify, like, did this actually cost what they said it cost before? And what is this actually a good deal based off of what it was selling for?
Yeah.
So yeah, just beware. But you know, there's definitely good deals out there if you're willing to shop around and do a little bit of research.
Yeah. I mean, I've even seen, just searching on Google for certain products that I've been in the market for, it has told me, like, if it's on sale, it tells me this is the best price that it's had in the last 30 days or something like that. So, I mean, it's not, it may not be as reliable as websites dedicated to that, but it is a good starting point.
Yeah, Google Shopping will usually tell you that information. It's just not as easy to navigate as sites that are like dedicated to it is really the only downside. But yeah, just anywhere you can get kind of a look at, like, you know, the past month, maybe 2 months actually, of what the price history of this item was, just to make sure that they didn't jack up the price for like the very end of October, and now they've taken it back down to what it was before and said that it's a huge discount, because you probably don't want to buy from those retailers.
Yeah. Yep, that is all the deals that I wanted to mention.
Well, I just hopped on Microsoft's site and just grabbed their quick deals to mention. So if you were wanting to do any kind of Surface device, you can look at the Surface Pro 9. You can have up to $500 off on the Surface. Surface Laptop 5 up to $400, and the new Surface Studio 2 is also $400 on that off. So cool. If you're looking at, not too bad, a couple extra $100 there. This also is for, on the Xbox, the Xbox side of things, that they always kind of do a deal for all the digital games for up to like 67% off. So any of the games that have been waiting to spend money on, or just this is the year, or this is the time of the year that you usually buy games. So, well, that deal's up and going for that. They also said that like games, a lot of Microsoft's actual games themselves will be on sale as well. Even like Starfield that just came out, they're going to do deals on games like that. So if you've been waiting, that could be a time. If you're looking for a Xbox Series X or S, they are now doing $50 off of the Xbox Series S or X. So there you go.
Not bad.
If you're looking to get it on there, take a look at that. And then if you're looking for a controller, it's kind of their normal to just take $10 off their controllers, which is normally like $60, so $50 controllers. So that's pretty much it for on Microsoft side. They usually a lot of the same stuff every year or same type of discount. So nothing ever has been that. But those offers actually are just for the U.S. and they keep saying for the U.S. because obviously they can't with all the other places that they've increased the price for to do this. So. Just worth mentioning. So that's pretty much all the Black Friday deals I have. I mean, I'm sure, listener, you probably, if you have any kind of Amazon or any kind of internet service, there's always deals being thrown at you. So you've probably seen these.
That's very true.
It may be the big thing might not be the hardware, but a lot of deals may become more like, say, the software or services. So like, oh, you buy this, you get like 3 months free of Game Pass or Disney Plus or whatever. Those are kind of more the deals that they try to throw at you. I didn't know if Apple might have had something. I know you say they don't usually have anything, but like for their services, not their hardware, their services. Do they do anything
they have
for
less
that?
sales on their services than they do their hardware.
I was going to say services
okay.
is where they make all their money from these days. They can't possibly put any of those on sale. No, in fact, they just sent me an email telling me they were going to increase the cost of my services. Thanks so
really?
much, Apple. I really appreciate it.
Happy Black Friday.
Apple's Black Friday deals are if you spend a significant amount of money buying their hardware, they'll give you an Apple gift card. That's it. That's what they're doing. Like, that's their whole thing. Which, like, sure, if you buy a brand new computer right now, you are going to get like it's like $150 gift card or something like that, which is like, okay, yeah, that's gonna buy you quite a few months worth of Apple Music or whatever. But
right,
Apple does not ever put anything on sale. What would be an awesome Black Friday treat for everyone is if Apple were to be like, hey, we're only charging industry standard prices for our memory upgrades for the next month.
There you go. But
that
only
would
during
save
Black Friday.
thousands of dollars.
That's funny.
No, Apple's
so you're saying
is,
if you want to get 2 terabytes of storage, it only costs you, $200 instead of $2,000.
Right. Well, yeah, 2 terabytes SSD, 2 terabytes of a high-speed SSD. Yeah, about $200. Maybe 180. Memory is cheap right now. Storage is cheap. So like, yeah. But yeah, I haven't checked their configurator online for a little while, but 2 terabytes costing $2,000 absolutely tracks for Apple. So I hate that so much. And everything is soldered on right now. Like, honestly, I've been using Apple computers for a very long time now, listener. But it's moments like this where I'm looking at what other manufacturers are putting on sale for like a big event like Black Friday, and then I look at what Apple is doing. Oh, we've just released new computers. The top spec MacBook Pro will run you well over $6,000. And the reason for that? No, it's not because it has crazy hardware that you can't get anywhere else or anything like that. It's exactly the same as a computer that costs like a third as much money, but it has an 8 terabyte hard drive instead of a 1 terabyte hard drive. And that's the only difference. And that makes me want to punt a baby seal into a volcano. Like, I just can't handle it. It's so frustrating. So yeah, listener, if you are not shopping for Apple for Black Friday, more power to you. That's great. I'm honestly kind of jealous. I'm just over here like, okay, the best sales on iPhones you're going to find are going to come from your cell phone carrier. Like, not Apple. Never Apple. So that's fun.
Well, that's your Black Friday from us.
I'm so optimistic about it, as you can tell.
Yeah. Let's move on to some news we want to talk about. Hey, we're on this Apple train. Why don't we continue on this here, Caleb?
Sure.
It's like we're looking at the Apple planning to support the RCS sometime next year.
Yes. So this is a thing that happened kind of out of the blue. I was surprised. Landon, were you surprised?
I was completely surprised when I saw this news.
Blown away by this. This was kind of came out of nowhere. But Apple this past week, they announced, they revealed, they confirmed that they are in fact planning to support the RCS messaging standard sometime next year, right? So probably when the next version of iOS releases would be my guess. It'll be around, like it'll kind of lockstep with that. RCS, it's Rich Communication Standard. That's what it stands for, right? Like,
yeah,
I can't remember. Anyways, this is a successor. That's the word I'm looking for the MMS and SMS standards that have been used in text messaging for a very long time, well over a decade at this point. And it is intended to bring a lot of the creature comforts that we associate with modern messaging apps to text messages on cell phones, which, given everybody is messaging via smartphones these days, makes a lot of sense. Google spearheaded kind of the development of the RCS standard, but they don't own the RCS standard, right? It is owned by the GSM consortium, I believe. And Google were probably the first ones to adopt it, but ever since, pretty much all of the cell phone carriers have gotten on board with it and everything.
Yeah.
And Google and Samsung have been trying to peer pressure Apple into supporting RCS in iMessage ever since. There's, a few pieces to note. Google's implementation of RCS is not like the vanilla version of RCS. It's compatible with vanilla RCS, but it's got Google's own feature tweaks and that sort of thing to it. It's their special version. And obviously Google would have liked Apple to use that version, but they're not. They're using the RCS Universal Profile, which is the generic standard supported and sanctioned by the GSM consortium. So that's fine-ish. Doesn't include end-to-end encryption support. The Universal Profile does not support that currently. However, the GSM consortium has mentioned in the past that that's something that they would like to develop, and Apple could very well be working on developing that with them for support next year. So it's a thing that could happen, that this launches with end-to-end encryption and that sort of thing. I think that, Apple went with the Universal Profile because it's the quote-unquote generic version that should work with everybody's implementation of RCS, not cause any problems in terms of support, but also because I don't think they're trying to make it look like they're not going to give any wins to Google, I think is a big part of this.
Yeah.
So not terribly surprising, but it's surprising that it's happening at all. So I don't know. Next year, entirely possible that on your mixed phone conversations happening via the text app on your phone, you might actually be able to see such things as rich, high-quality media support between Android and iOS devices, typing indicators, message reactions, and all of this stuff just natively supported by the conversations that traditionally would have been extremely feature sparse. So that's lovely. The real question, is there any chance that Apple is going to change the bubble color in iMessage over this?
What
do we think?
It's funny because there's that's always the question that gets brought up with this is like, oh, are they going to change the color to orange or to something? You know, I'm like, no, they're not. That would be that it would no. I just don't see that happening personally.
I mean, I would agree that's the most likely outcome, that nothing changes in terms of the coloring. I will note that there might be a little bit more nuance to their implementation of their bubble colors with the introduction of RCS. It's entirely possible that if you're on a big conversation with a group of people in iMessage, that the people who are on iPhones are going to trigger different interactions with your bubbles than the people who are on Android phones. Like, there is now going to be the granularity between, like, this is RCS and this is iMessage, but, like, in terms of feature set, they're both so much closer to each other that Apple might be able to just, like, oh, we're going to include the metadata for iMessages so that if you're replying to somebody who has an iPhone, you get blue bubbles, but if you're replying to somebody that has an Android phone, then you get the green bubbles. And, like, there might be more nuance that way. They may also elect to keep green as the color specifically for legacy messaging, like MMS and SMS. And so if you have legacy messaging happening, then they're okay, here's the green bubbles, in which case it's like, this is kind of a security issue.
Yeah.
If you see green bubbles, and they'll change the color for RCS enabled conversations to something different. But that's more possible than, oh yeah, RCS gets blue bubbles. That's not happening. No way in space.
Oh, no.
RCS does not get blue bubbles. That's like branding. And Apple is extremely specific about their branding. So that's not happening. It's possible RCS gets a different color than green. Maybe.
I could see it being
It's
like a darker
a long
shade.
Maybe.
Like a more rich colored green rather than the standard green, just so it has, because I could see them differentiating, yes, like SMS and MMS between RCS because of that, security factor and other stuff.
Concerns. Yeah.
But I have a hard time seeing them changing it completely to a whole other color. But I mean, I'm not going to say there's a 0% chance of that because it could happen. I just think it's low.
It could. It is a low chance. I still think that what's most likely is that the only way you're going to be able to tell whether or not you're communicating with somebody via SMS via RCS than SMS is whether or not they send you a picture and it doesn't come through looking like crap.
Yeah.
Like, if it comes through and actually looks like it's a full resolution image, that's how you know it's RCS.
Mm-hmm.
Or if there's typing indicators when they're sending you a reply, that's how you know it's RCS. And otherwise, bubble colors are all the same. The interface looks exactly the same. And Apple is not going to try and make it look like this is a good thing, because let's be honest, the EU is currently in the middle of an investigation at the behest of Google to see whether or not they should force Apple to adopt RCS. And Apple announcing this just after it came out that the EU was investigating them for this is kind of like, so the EU forced them to get rid of the Lightning port and take a USB-C port for the iPhone. And so instead of just waiting for the EU to legislate them into doing this, they're like, oh, we'll just do it and pretend that we came up with the idea ourselves and we're not bad people. That's kind of how it feels. And I suspect they will drag their feet like crazy.
Yeah.
But there you go. RCS on iPhones is coming sometime next year.
Nice. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next item here. We'll move on to some Microsoft news. So the first big thing we're going to talk about is Microsoft. They are bringing its Copilot Assistant to Windows 10. Yep. So,
is its name Cortana? Is that
no? See, Cortana no longer exists. It's
Copilot.
Copilot.
Yes.
Clippy.
Totally different.
Yes,
Totally
this is totally different. It says it is obviously it's going to be available on Windows 11, but they did say that it is coming soon to Windows The AI assistant will appear as a shortcut on the right side of the taskbar. Clicking this Copilot shortcut will open a chat window on the right side of the desktop, just like it works on Windows 11. However, they did say that Copilot on Windows 10 will have some limitations at launch. But don't worry, all of it's coming. You know, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this, but more pop-ups and things. But my question on this is this because there's still more people using Windows 10 and it's still the most popular OS that they're like, hey, I mean, if I remember, it said in 2005, that's when Windows 10 support goes out. Or I'm sorry, 2025. My bad. 2025.
Yeah.
So they're doing this
with
only 2 years of support. I just find that.
Well, they're expecting that Windows 11 will finally be up to par with Windows 10 by 2025.
Supposedly.
Actually, I'm expecting Windows 12 to launch sometime around 2025, and
I mean,
that's when it'll be. No, I think that probably is. Like, they're bringing this to Windows 10 because the only people who are using Windows 11 are people who are using a company computer, and their company bought them a new computer, and it came with Windows 11.
Yeah,
and they have to. Like,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's it. That's the only group. Like, Windows 11, despite not necessarily being bad at anything really, it's fine. It's fine. I use it.
Yeah.
It's okay. I don't have any complaints. But
you use it at work? Is that where you use it?
I do. I use it at work. And it's fine.
Yeah.
It does all the same things that Windows 10 does for me, which is run Microsoft Office. I don't really need it to do much more than that. I could get away with a Chromebook running Microsoft Office. It would be fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, I don't, I just, Windows 11 has just been such a dud for them. It has not landed at all. And okay. I don't know that, like, there might be somebody who is at Microsoft pitching the idea of bringing the Copilot to Windows 10 as like, we'll get people hooked on using Copilot, and then we'll like start stripping features out of it in Windows 10 and only having them in Windows 11. I'm like, that's not a thing. That won't change anybody's mind. I just think that this is a case of they introduced the Copilot Assistant to Windows 11. Nobody was using it, and so they had to justify its existence. So they're bringing it to Windows 10, where more people will use it. I think that's all it is. Yeah, no, just listen. As long as, like everything else on the taskbar, as long as I can hide this thing, I don't care about it. But like their weather widget, the people's widget, the search bar, all that stuff, as long as I can hide it, it's fine.
Just like Cortana.
Exactly.
Oh, there you go.
Like, I will do the exact same thing with this as I did with Cortana, and that is just shove it into the background of the OS and never pay attention to it again.
Gotcha. Okay. We'll go ahead and move on unless Landon, you got something to say on the Copilot Assistant.
I just really hope that you can. I mean, I'm assuming this doesn't have like a voice-enabled feature, does it? Like you can't just say like, "Hey, Microsoft" or something like that, you know?
Hey, Copilot.
I would want to program it to be like, "Hey, Satya."
Satya. Oh my gosh, that'd be hilarious. No, I think you probably could have if you enabled that, but I think it's probably more of a Clippy that's going to be sitting there like, "Hey, I noticed you did this. Are you sure?"
I see you're trying to write a resume. I'm sorry, I just opened a browser. That's not
exactly.
I see you're searching with Google. Are you sure you don't want to use Bing? Yes, I'm sure.
Friggin' awesome.
That would be so funny. That would be so funny.
You just opened Chrome. Did you mean to open that, or did you want internet?
I see that you just opened Chrome. Are you sure you didn't mean Edge? Are you sure? Here, let me show you Edge. I'll give you a tour.
I mean, they did just get in trouble for whenever someone tried to close OneDrive. It was like, are you sure you want to close OneDrive? Look at all these cool things it does.
My gosh, that is so obnoxious. Can I tell you? So obnoxious.
Hey, you want to know what else is obnoxious? That, Microsoft, the store, wouldn't let you install games to where you'd want them. But guess what? With this new update, It now lets you choose where you want to install your games.
So, speaking as someone who has a 500 gig OS SSD and then 6 terabytes of other storage in my computer for installing actual games on, thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Like, downloading and installing Flight Simulator, not a great time. That has not been fun, Microsoft.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's the next piece of news I was going to take. But the question I had on there is it took this long?
Yeah,
that was my question.
I think it is worth noting that some of these games you can download and install them and then move the install location to a different drive and run it from there, and that works. So at least the ones that don't call to the Microsoft Store constantly,
right,
as far as I'm aware. But stuff, there are workarounds for this, but yeah, it's that initial installation is kind of a problem.
All right. So that's kind of most of the Microsoft news that I have there. We'll move on to some general tech news. Looks like right on here we've got iMessage on Android-ish.
Well, so speaking of messaging, because apparently that's the theme for the last week and a half has been messaging services and whatnot.
Yeah.
So everyone's favorite brand, Nothing, has partnered with another company. Oh shoot! Now I can't remember the name.
What was their name?
Sunbird. That's what the company's name is.
That's right.
They partnered with this company called Sunbird, which is their whole thing is they have a service that allows you to use iMessage on Android phones, kind of. So the way it works, there are other companies that also do this. The one that comes to mind is called Beeper, and they do it the same way. Basically, what you do is you sign into your Apple ID in their app, and what it does is it signs you into your Apple ID on a Mac Mini in a server farm somewhere, and then it routes any iMessage or any message that you get through that, and then sends it to your phone, and it works more or less the same way as regular iMessage does. The biggest problem with this is you're giving your Apple ID and password to another company and signing on to onto hardware that you don't own.
Yep.
So already, to me, big no. And the way that Nothing has done this, so they partnered with this company, Sunbird, and they're putting it on the Nothing Phone 2, and it's inside of their app called Nothing Chats, which is fantastic. And currently it was in beta, but as of yesterday, actually, Nothing has pulled its iMessage app, Nothing Chats, from the Play Store because of privacy issues. So what they were claiming when they first announced this, and this is with Sunbird was claiming this, is that all of these messages are end-to-end encrypted, so they don't see the messages as they come through their Mac Mini server farms. And that's the same thing with Beeper. It claims the same thing, and these other companies all claim this. But in less than 24 hours after its launch, people have found that Nothing Chats actually can see all these messages, and there's no end-to-end encryption. And also, I mean, there was just a lot of people reporting lots and lots of bugs in this app as it was anyways. So, I mean,
yeah,
it's not great. So my question, I mean, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. I'll word this a little differently. If there was a service like this that had been proven to be secure, in quote unquote secure, would you use something like this? If you, like Wes, you're on Android, or Caleb, if you were on Android, would it be worth it to you to use something like this?
So, here's the thing. I have used this. I have used not either of the services that we're talking about here, but I have used a tool that is exactly the same piece of functionality as this. Here's the key. It installed a server on a Mac that you owned.
Mm-hmm.
You downloaded a little messaging server. It would install on your Mac, and you would sign in. You know, it like you didn't sign into the app. The app just hooked into iMessage on your Mac and would then send anything from iMessage that you got over to a companion app on your Android phone. I have absolutely used this, and I would absolutely, again, if I had a reason to, if I was daily driving an Android phone, I honestly, absolutely, yes, I would install this thing on my Mac Mini, and because that is kind of what it requires, is a desktop Mac that has constant network access and is always awake, right? Which my Mac Mini is. So that would work. If you've got a desktop Mac, this is absolutely a great way to do that. And then it just forwards everything onto your Android phone. The biggest thing to me, the biggest privacy concern about this to me is not the lack of end-to-end encryption on the messages being sent from the Mac Mini to the phone. That is a problem, considering that Apple does advertise end-to-end encryption for iMessage. But the vast majority of messages that you send don't require end-to-end encryption. And frankly, if you know that it's not end-to-end encrypted, you can just avoid putting stuff in it like your social security number and that kind of, like, don't do that. Just don't text your social security number to people, or your bank account number, or whatever, you know? So like that, knowing that it's not end-to-end encrypted, you can kind of control your communication appropriately. The problem that I have is that even if it was end-to-end encrypted, it is a bold-faced lie for Sunbird to say they don't have access to your messages. Of course they do. They have an administrator account on that Mac Mini. How the heck do you think they're running the thing? They've got administrative access to all of these machines that have your messages on them. And like, you're not set up as the primary user for the account, for the iMessage account, like instance of the app that you're signed into. Somebody else is the administrator of that. That is freaking stupid. Like, I can't fathom a world in which I would ever use a service like this. Now, using a product that sits on a Mac and then forwards my iMessages to an Android app, yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. I think it's a really kind of clever solution to the whole walled garden approach that Apple takes with iMessage. I just don't think that paying somebody else to manage a Mac Mini for it that not only do you not own, but that you will never see. You will never physically interact with this Mac Mini at all. All of your interactions with it happen through somebody else's interface. That's terrifying to me. Like, that's not, I'm going to read your messages. That's, I'm going to steal your Apple ID and your password and, like, just, you know, like, I'm sorry, I have a freaking credit card that's associated with that Apple ID. Mm-hmm. That ain't happening. So, yeah, that's a big no for me, dog.
Yeah. I mean, my thoughts are very similar to yours because, yes, there are services that you can do this on your own personal computer. Yes. And if you feel like this is something you want to do, that's the way to do it. Don't allow another company to do all that for you. If you really care about having iMessage that badly and you want to use an Android phone, I guess you're willing to spend the $800 to cost it is to buy a Mac Mini or buy a used one or something, you know.
Yeah.
But don't
no, honestly,
don't
go
use
buy a
another
used
service.
Mac. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, ditto. I'm right there with you guys. So
yeah.
So, all right, we're gonna head and move on. Digital Fireplace.
Yeah. So this is the dumbest thing, listener. This is not news, really, like in the tech space. This is just a thing that I did this past, not this past week, like a week and a half ago, that I would heartily recommend. Listener, if you have got a fireplace in your house that, like, in terms of decor, you really like the look of the thing, it's in a good spot and everything, like it's a vibe and you're here for it. I totally understand. I have one as well. However, I hate the pain of maintaining an actual pants active fireplace, right? That's just not really my jam. There are a few options if you don't want to deal with that will still get you a fireplace in your, you could get one of those gas ones, gas insert for your fireplace and that kind of thing. Very popular. It's nice, produces lovely heat. It's fairly fuel efficient. It's a secondary source of heat for your home, in addition to like a furnace or something like that. So yeah, okay. There's advantages. You could also get an electric fireplace, right? Also produces heat, has got that like sort of weird fake fire look to it that I'm not a huge fan of those, but I understand why people do it. It's also definitely a look. But there's another option. You take the largest spare monitor that you have, because you have one of those, I assume. You stick it in the fireplace. You plug in a set of old computer speakers that I also assume you just happen to have lying around into that. And then you get like a Chromecast or a Roku or something like that and plug that into the thing. Now you have a digital fireplace. You can play the 10-hour fireplace video on YouTube on it or something like that. It's really like chill, totally a great vibe add to the room and stuff like that. But also, if you want to lay on your couch and, I don't know, watch Ted Lasso or something like that on Apple TV+, you can do that as well. So it's not just a pretty addition to your living room. It's also functional because now you can watch movies in your fireplace, which now that I say it out loud does sound a little bit silly. However,
also does not produce heat. And if it does, you might want to turn it off.
Yes, if it starts producing a lot of heat, then you might have problems. So this is just my PSA, listener. If you are looking to justify your tech hoarding habits by actually doing something with all the crap that you have sitting around, it's a thought. Maybe consider it.
I do have a lot of things laying around, and I don't think that would have been one of them. But now I might do something, because I do have a fireplace that we don't use. There's nothing to it, like it's all, but it would be kind of fun to do something like a screen that at least like shows like Santa falling and something.
Yeah, heck yeah,
something hilarious. So.
Yep. No, it's a very specific solution for us because we don't actually have a TV in our living room. Like it was a deliberate choice when we were decorating the room to be like, we want the focus of this space to be on like conversation with people and actual interactions with visitors and that sort of thing. And so all the chairs are facing each other in the center of the room. And it's a really warm, inviting space. There's like a whole music section to it for, playing instruments, gathering around the piano or around the record player or whatever kind of thing. It's a whole vibe. And we felt like hanging a TV on the wall and having a surround sound system or something like that would really detract from it. But it's also where all of the most comfortable chairs in the house are. So there's like definitely this aspect of, if we're ever going to watch TV, then we spend a lot of time hanging out in this room. We want a TV in there so that we can watch TV. But we don't want a TV in there because it would be really obvious, and we don't want to, and so our options were spend $1,000 on like a picture frame TV from Samsung, which I guess is an option, but they're expensive.
Yeah.
Or just disguise the TV by sticking it in the fireplace. And it's actually worked out quite nicely. So there you go. It's a thought, listener. But also, yeah, if you're just looking for a cheap, quick, easy way to justify the fact that you have a bunch of old monitors sitting around or something like that, digital fireplace.
All right, let's go ahead and let's move on here. We're going to go into some gaming news. We're going to talk about the Steam Deck.
Oh, yes. No, okay, this is my favorite piece of news of the past year.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, genuinely the past year. So, the Steam Deck, listener, I've talked about it on the podcast before. I'll summarize my viewpoint on it's great. It's a cool thing. I love it. I'm so happy that Valve did it. It's honestly the kind of thing that is like, occasionally Valve will do something like announce the Steam Deck that just makes me go, see, this is why everybody loves Valve, despite the fact that they are like, they own the digital distribution space on PC. Like,
Yeah.
nobody really competes with them there, and Epic tried to, and everybody still, like, not only does nobody buy anything from Epic, everybody makes fun of Epic for even trying. And that's not the sort of thing that normally happens when somebody comes and tries to compete in a space that's almost a monopoly, like with digital distribution of PC video games. But now everybody's on the side of Valve with this one, and that's really kind of weird. But it's because of stuff like the Steam Deck. It's just such a great thing. For the price, it honestly plays video games better than it has any right to. And on top of that, it's portable. You carry it around with you. It's got a battery. You can play whatever the crap you want, wherever the snot you happen to be. And that's just cool. And oh gosh, you can open up the back of the thing and you can upgrade, you can mod, you can tweak, and not only does Valve not care if you do this, they actively advertise the ability to do that, and they partnered with iFixit to make sure that the guides for being able to do this were really high quality and extremely comprehensive and easy to follow. So the Steam Deck is awesome. Valve had a conversation, well, actually, one of the engineers at Valve that is responsible for the Steam Deck had several conversations with media outlets last year in which he said things like, it's not like, making another version or an update to the Steam Deck is not the sort of thing that we can do just quickly or easily. It's not going to be simple. It requires a decent amount of effort, yada, yada, yada. And everybody construed that to mean that Apple was not going to be making an update to the Steam Deck, that if they were going to be making like changes to the Steam Deck, it was going to be a whole new version, and that was probably going to be several years down the road. However, turns out not the case. Basically, it just means that if we're going to update the Steam Deck, it's going to take a lot of work. So they did a lot of work, and there's now an updated Steam Deck, and it's just fantastic. It's everything great about the Steam Deck refined. So the screen, same resolution as it was before, but now it's an OLED and slightly bigger, at least in the dimensions. Because it's an OLED, it's also slightly thinner than the old one was, which means there's more space behind it for a bigger battery. And so they put a bigger battery in. And now it has even better battery life than it had before, which was already kind of like on par with the Switch, which is hilarious because the Switch is way less powerful than the Steam Deck. Yeah. So that's also been upgraded. They have changed the joysticks. They did not, unfortunately, switch them to Hall effect joysticks, but they did make some changes to them in order to make them like ergonomically slightly better, that sort of thing. There were some internal changes, like the processor, which is technically the same system on chip as it was before, is now being manufactured on a 6 nanometer manufacturing process, not 7 nanometer, which is just, Valve has said should perform the same as it did before, or better. They did not say it would perform better. They just said it should be the same. But if it's going to be different, it will be better. And it seems like it's slightly more efficient, which means it runs slightly cooler, which means it sometimes boosts a little bit better, and you get slight improvements in some titles. And okay, not a big deal, but it's an improvement. They also changed out the cooling for the thing. They kind of changed how things were being cooled a little bit in order to, cool the chip slightly differently. Seems like the fans are now a little bit quieter. The cooling is a little bit more efficient. All of these things are minor changes, but they're all good changes. And I think my favorite part about it is that every single model of the Steam Deck also got a bump in hard drive space. So the cheapest version of it went from 64 gigabytes of eMMC storage to 256 gigs of an actual SSD. which is solid. And then the next tier up from that is 512, and then the next tier up from that is a terabyte. Okay? And they did that with Apple. I want Apple. You need to pay really close attention right now, okay? They did that without jacking up the prices. Prices stayed the same for all of the models except for the middle one. So like the cheapest one and the most expensive one stayed the same. The middle one went up like $20, I think. So a little bit of a price shift for that one. It's also worth noting that currently, the way that, it's looking on the Steam Deck website, Valve is selling the old hardware, right? So the original version of the Steam Deck as the lowest tier, right? So if you buy the lowest tier one with the 256 gigs of storage, you're actually getting the old hardware. So it's the old hardware with a storage bump, essentially. So, okay, you're getting more storage than you were for the same price before. That's nice. And then if you get the middle tier one or the higher end one, then you are getting all of the new changes with the new OLED display, which is the big upgrade, and then all the other minor tweaks and that sort of thing. So nothing major, but just everything about this was like just awesome for the consumer. Like none of this was bad. This was all just great news. And oh man, Valve just absolutely knocking it out of the park on this one. And every time I talk about the Steam Deck, so how close is this to being a gaming PC replacement? Because like for me personally, it is right there. Like I was genuinely this past week going through like Valve's forums and stuff like that to see what it requires to play GOG games on the Steam Deck. Right? Anything that's in Steam is obviously really easy to add, but if I want to add stuff that I have through GOG, there is a workaround. It's a little bit more convoluted, but it can be done. So, I mean,
yeah,
that's one more thing. And I was just like, ooh, it's so close at this point. For me personally, like, I don't know, Wes, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. Like, so I don't have GOG on there, but I mean, it would be cool to have, I'm just going to say, like an Xbox-oriented Game Pass thing that can run my Game Pass games. Mobile. Yeah. And this is great. That's not cloud that I could just install.
Right.
And I can have it on there. That's not a service.
Which is, like, I don't think currently there is any way to get Game Pass games installed directly onto the Steam Deck, which is, like, it's the one thing that I'm all like, there's not even a workaround for that one, because in order to do that, you have to have Windows. And
yeah, and I know some people
there's no Windows on this. It's
stuff of that.
You can install Windows onto like an SD card and then run off the SD card for Windows, because there's no native dual boot support on the Steam Deck yet. So you have to have it on an SD card. And you can't do that, and then you're running Windows on the Steam Deck. And from what I understand, that is usable, but it's not necessarily a great
we'll just
experience.
Say usable.
Right. Like it's like the Steam Deck was not designed to run with Windows. It was designed to run with SteamOS, which is Linux based. And they did release the drivers so that you can install them in Windows, and it does work, but there's still refinement that needs to happen there in order for it to be awesome. So, there's still a few things that I'm kind of like, oh, it's not quite there, but holy crap, is it getting closer all the time?
Yeah.
So, I love it. Good job, Valve. That's it.
See, my thoughts on this as a non-gamer, if I were to buy something, I mean, well, first off, it would be a Switch. Say that right off the bat. That would be the one gaming thing I would buy. But if I were to buy something other than a Switch, this would probably be it, because I'm not big enough into gaming to justify a separate PC to play games on. And I'm also not going to, I don't care if I buy an Xbox or a PlayStation, because I don't need something like that. But like this, like Caleb said, the portability for me is the biggest key factor here.
Yep.
And for the price and what you get and what you can play with this thing, this would probably be the thing I would buy.
And I mean, $350 for the base model one.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you don't care about having to like upgrade your storage yourself, which is pretty easy, just a few screws, you undo the back, the SSD is sitting right there.
Mm-hmm.
You could totally upgrade your storage yourself and just get a refurbished one for like less than $300. So it's just a really, really cool thing. And then you could use it as your only gaming PC. Just plug it into a monitor, keyboard, and mouse.
Yeah.
Just get a USB-C dock, and it's one plug, and you're there. It's just such a cool device.
It really is. So we're going to add a little bit more to this news that's come out actually from NVIDIA and their GeForce Now. They've actually been able to add your Microsoft Store, PC Game Pass, and Ubisoft Plus integration into this NVIDIA GeForce Now app. So I believe this is the best cloud gaming you can have. You can actually have up to 4K. I think they said 2-something hertz. 240 hertz?
I think it's 120. I think it goes up to 120.
Yeah, you can have this, but now you can have not only your Steam, your GOG, I think it's Epic was on it. Now you get your Microsoft Store, your Game Pass, and your Ubisoft.
Yeah.
All on there. Now, talking before, I was like, can't the Steam Deck actually run NVIDIA GeForce?
I checked, and yes, GeForce Now does have an in-browser integration. You can run it through Chromium on the Steam Deck. You just basically, if you go into desktop mode on the Steam Deck with the Linux operating system, no tweaking or anything like that, you can use their app manager to download Chromium browser, right? Or even just Chrome. I'm pretty sure you can just get Chrome.
Yeah.
And then you go into the terminal, you run a command to set up Chrome as an app that Steam will recognize. Okay. Then you go back into the Steam Deck interface and you add Chrome as an app, like a non-Steam game that you can launch from inside of Steam. Then you can set it up to launch directly to GeForce Now, or just launch it as a browser and navigate to GeForce Now yourself. And then you can play your GeForce Now games in the browser on the Steam Deck. The only limitation to this, right? So this now allows you to play your Microsoft Store games, your PC Game Pass, everything pretty much that wasn't already supported on the Steam Deck natively, you can get to through GeForce Now. Except for, like, I guess maybe Battle.net. Like, I'm not even sure. Battle.net used to be supported by GeForce Now, but then it wasn't. It might have been added back while I wasn't paying attention.
I think the deal they made, now that I think about it, wasn't that one of the deals is through NVIDIA was they get all Activision Blizzard games now?
Yes. Yeah. But I'm not sure that that's been enabled yet, is the question.
Right.
So
but
I'm not sure about that one. But yeah, so like that's basically all of my Game Pass stuff is now going to be on. The only limitation is that if you're running these games through GeForce Now, that is cloud only. You have to have an internet connection in order for that to work. So you got to have a good, like a solid Wi-Fi connection to your Steam Deck in order for this to work. But, that's so clutch right there.
So the thing I have on here, does this make the Steam Deck the go-to for mobile gaming?
I mean, anywhere you can get Wi-Fi, you can play everything, right? You can install
everything but Nintendo. Like that's it. Everything but
pretty much
Nintendo.
Pretty much, because you can install all your Steam games on here and all of your GOG games if you want to. If you don't necessarily care about installing them, you're okay just using Wi-Fi for cloud gaming, then yeah, GeForce Now gives you access to GOG, it gives you access to Ubisoft, it gives you access to Epic, it gives you access to EA, it gives you access to Game Pass, and the Microsoft Store, which are two separate things on the PC, it is worth noting. So like, okay, man, yeah, that's a really compelling thing right there.
Well, as someone that's been in PC, like that's PC, you can have anything you want. So that's just adding, that's it.
Yeah. And then it's all sitting on top of a Linux-based operating system. So yeah, doesn't have Nintendo technically, but if you can go download the Dolphin emulator, put it in there, add it to Steam as a non-Steam game, launch Dolphin on your Steam Deck, play your ROMs right there. That'll get you up to the Wii and everything. And there, you can get basically the only things you wouldn't be able to play is like modern Switch games.
Yep. Yes.
That's it. And yeah, there's a lot of great modern Switch games that it would be nice to have on there, but there's also like literally decades of excellent Nintendo properties available. And I don't care who you are, Smash Melee is still the best version of Smash Bros. And Mario Kart Wii is still the best version of Mario Kart. So,
Hey, side note, did you see they came out with more Mario Kart stuff on the booster stuff for Switch?
Oh, I have not.
And I believe
but,
some Wii tracks were on there.
Okay. It's been a minute since my kids have been into Mario Kart. Otherwise, I'm sure they would have told me about it.
I figured I'd let you know.
Yes, but that's the thing. When I sit down to play Mario Kart, I'm usually on the Wii doing it because it's. Awesome. I'm still very, very determined about it. That's the superior version of Mario Kart. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is great, but Mario Kart Wii is the best. Anyways, Steam Deck. It's awesome. And
yes,
weirdly, I'm actually happy with NVIDIA right now. That's
weirdly. Yeah,
there's a little bit of cognitive dissonance there for sure.
Well, I mean, not realizing we had this, but I believe most of our gaming is now NVIDIA, or I'm sorry, is Valve related. I just kind of noticed. So our next topic, Valve, their very first game, Half-Life, celebrating their 25th anniversary of releasing the game.
Yeah.
They did a couple things. One, they said that for the anniversary, the original Half-Life, alongside a new hour-long documentary celebrating it, they released it. So you can play it for free, the original game. Come on Steam, play it. Which I went, just messing with stuff, the noises, the sounds. I was that crowbar hitting anything.
Yes. Iconic crowbar hits.
I actually went and watched this documentary. It's pretty fun to watch. Just because they talk about everything and just what two dudes from Microsoft wanted to start a gaming company, and this is what happened.
Yep.
From there,
it's like, Half-Life 1 was so much more influential than I think people realize. Like, I dove down a rabbit hole of research, I don't know, probably like 6 or 7 years ago, playing old FPS games. And everybody credits Doom, rightfully so, with making FPS a thing. Mm-hmm. But I think that a lot of people, current gamers especially, who never played Doom when it was when it was new, would be shocked at how unintuitive that game is to play versus our modern sensibilities. It's difficult to move around and shoot and do anything if what you're used to is Halo, it's just not right. And even if you do run it through the necessary filters in order to, WASD and your mouse is how you do stuff, it still just doesn't feel quite right versus anything that you're familiar with. And then you look at stuff like okay, because Doom it's just levels, right? It plays like an arcade game. You just run through the levels, you shoot everything up, you get to the end, you're done. Did you find the secret rooms? You get points and a score, and then it moves you on to the next level. You got a little bit more of what we would consider modern gaming storytelling with System Shock shortly after Doom was released. That developed the world around you. It had you moving more naturally from place to place within the game and that kind of thing. It didn't have these distinct levels that you were just trying to speed run with point totals and that kind of thing. There were, these audio logs and whatnot from characters and that sort of thing. But even still, it controls absolute butt versus modern games. Doesn't feel natural at all to play. And your interactions, quote unquote, the NPCs, there aren't really any, there's people talking on the radio, and that's as much of an NPC interaction as you get. They just don't exist. But then you get to Half-Life, and Half-Life, even 25 years later, still feels like modern games, Obviously the graphics are way older. The writing is really funny and kind of intentionally funny in a lot of places. But the way the game plays, the way the game feels, like you can tell they were still kind of stumbling towards the standards that we have now. I'm trying to remember what it was. Some of the key bindings were really kind of quirky and backwards and weird with the original Half-Life. But, they gave you the option to rebind them, and so I guess that's okay. But yeah, it feels like a current FPS, which is just, it's so different than all of the other landmark games that came before it. That, these games paved the way for Half-Life to exist, but Half-Life changed the genre. And everything since then is, we talk a lot about Souls-like or roguelikes or stuff like that. These games that are in genres that are just like a game that came before them. You can sort of think of most of the first-person shooter genre as Half-Life likes. That's what most modern FPS games are. They are like Half-Life. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, on top of that, they actually with the new version of the OG game, they said they restored it, revitalized it, so it actually has support for controllers, Steam Deck, Steam networking. They actually released more content. So 4 new multiplayer maps, 3 older multiplayer maps. They said the original main menu artwork, some early prototype player models from the alpha builds of the game, the original Half-Life demo, the original Valve intro video, and a lot more.
Ooh.
And they did say that for Celebration is you can get the other games in the franchise for really cheap. So, for example, you get Half-Life 2 for 99 cents.
Oh,
Half-Life 2
nice.
Episode 1 for 79 cents.
Oh, dang.
And then Episode 2, the other episode, for 79 cents. But also Half-Life Alyx for $20.
Ooh.
You can get Opposing Force, Blue Shift, and Deathmatch for 69 cents each.
Nice.
They said which games. Oh, yeah. And plus Half-Life 1 Source is just $6.55. So, yeah. Really cheap. Discount on all their stuff. They wanted to celebrate that. So, hop in there. Check out that. I mean, if you grew. It's worth. I think it's worth it. If you grew up in this era and being able to see what these guys are talking about with it was fun because they talked about going to get the actual source code to the Quake engine to make this from it. Just like actually walked up to went to Romero, was like, oh, and they're like, here's the source code, enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, and then talking about all sorts of stuff that they did. It was kind of cool. And then obviously the talking to the voice actor for the scientists and everything on there. It was fun to.
Oh, that's funny.
To mess with. So,
yep.
But with all that awesomeness said, it brings me to this little talking point here. Valve, within 25 years, still can't count to 3. So.
Nope. They sure can't.
Still cannot. I mean, they're going to release the Steam Deck 2, and just note that that's going to be it. So,
and that's they'll just update it eternally. No, what was it that they did fairly recently? That they announced something, and I was like, no, this is confirmation that they are in on the joke, and they're never going to release a game with a 3 in the title. What was it? I can't remember, but it was fairly recently that they released. It was an update. No, it was Counter-Strike. It was Counter-Strike.
Counter-Strike.
Because everybody I know considered Counter-Strike Global Offensive to be Counter-Strike 2. That's what we all thought it was. We thought it was the second Counter-Strike. But no, Valve is like, CSGO was not the second Counter-Strike. Here's CS2. And that, I'm like, no, I'm sorry. That is pure confirmation to me that Valve never is going to release a game with 3 in the title because they think it's funny now. Right? Like, this has turned into
how much crap they would get, though, if they would have said it was 3? You know how much crap? People would have been upset.
Yeah, everybody
so it's either that
where's
or
Half-Life 3?
Exactly.
No, I think, and that the fact that they have released a or a Half-Life game since Half-Life 2, but it was a prequel and they called it Half-Life Alyx, right? So that basically opened the gates for them to be able to do whatever the crap they want with these franchises. They're just going to be putting whatever names onto it, and they will never release a game with the number 3 in the title. Like, at this point, I I think that Gabe's going to have to die before that happens. And even then, I think most of the people in the company would probably like leave if they ever did release a game with a 3 in it. I just don't think it's happening. It's
That's
just
awesome.
too much of a joke at this point. It's too much of a meme for them to possibly do it. Like, it's just, yeah.
And they would be the ones to hold it this way. Just make it this way.
Yes.
They would be the company to do it.
Yep, they would. And honestly, I respect them for it. So,
Yep. Just respect them, but hate them at the same time.
yeah, it's annoying, but also hilarious enough that I'm not annoyed, you know?
Yeah, yep. Okay, well, dear listener, I think that's everything, unless Landon has one more thing.
No.
No,
I don't.
One more thing. All right, well, listener, we appreciate you listening through the whole episode with us today. If you wanted to get a hold of us, you can on our social media platforms, as well as our website at callingallplatforms.com. If you want to check out any videos, I don't think any new ones yet. But,
No.
videos over on the YouTube channel.
Look, it's the holidays coming up. It's probably not happening in the near future.
Well, good. There you go. Hiatus for a minute for the holidays. You can take a look at the videos there on YouTube. All right, dear listener, have a good week.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Calling All Platforms is a production of Supporter Sound Studios. To learn more about how you can support the podcast, go to www.patreon.com/callingallplatforms.